Hey y'all, welcome to the Sacred Homegirl Collective. I'm your girl Marshita Patrice, and this is where we walk through, talk through, and just feel out what it means to live a life of faith, fun, and purpose. This week, I just want to dive right in and really tap into what are the keys to confidence. Right. Last week we talked about purpose. What are three questions that can help you identify your purpose, but also begin to walk in it. And this week we're talking about confidence, right? And the reason why and the thought behind let's dive into this is a lot of times I pull our topics from one, what are tools that we're going to need to be able to walk in purpose? But two, what are the conversations that I constantly am having with either clients or just people in my village who I know identify with being a sacred homegirl, right? I want to make sure that whatever I'm building, I'm touching, I'm supporting is really going to be nourishing to who I feel I'm called to lead and support. Um, and what I've noticed is that anyone who has been called to birth anything, especially with what they've been called to birth, touches a multitude of people and will have a deep impact, a lasting impact for the kingdom. So definitely devastating for the kingdom of darkness. One of the first things that is attacked is their confidence. And the way that their confidence is attacked is through their identity. It is them not being able to believe that they are who God says they are. And I want to be able to help with that, you know? So that's what we're going to talk about this week. Um, so I'm also digging this rule of three. Last week it was three questions. I think we're going to do three questions, and that just might be a thing that just happens. Um, don't don't quote me. Um, but first, when we talk about confidence, confidence is literally the belief in who God says you are, right? So we can't have confidence, authentic confidence. So confidence that's not rooted in ego, but confidence that is rooted in divine identity, right? We can't have that without having an understanding of who God says we are. And so the first question becomes, well, how do I figure out who God says I am? So first place that I would offer is the Bible. So what does he say about his people, right? What does he say about the ones that he's calling his, right? So everybody goes to this, but it's an oldie but goodie. It's, don't fix what's not broken. It's Jeremiah, right? I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. I looked at you, I set you aside, and I said that you were good. And the reason why that is significant, I'm paraphrasing. Go back, it's in the first chapter somewhere. It's pretty early on. You'll find it, right? Jeremiah. Um, But the reason why that's powerful, especially if you're reading it in the Amplified, right? The Amplified version, is when God is creating in Genesis, after every creation, right? Just about, he literally says, it is good. That is his stamp on saying, yep, I messed with that. I'm really proud of that. I did that. You know what I mean? And so imagine the creator of everything, the universe, these other universes, of all the heavens. He said that when he formed you, because we also know that we serve an intentional God, he intentionally formed you. He put you in a womb and he said, yeah, that's mine. That he set you aside. That to me is, even when I don't trust myself, I trust my creator. And if he says that I'm good, after he created me, if I have any type of sense, it only makes sense for me to believe that, right? So that's one piece. But there are so many. I would literally Google like scriptures, or if you use ChatGPT or whatever, that's your business. But literally, what are scriptures on confidence, right? On scriptures, or a better way to phrase it is scriptures on identity, right? Because the role that identity plays in confidence, because it's not really just the enemy attacking your confidence. Confidence is the symptom of being very rooted in your identity. So what he attacks is your identity, right? Um, I would literally look up verses on identity. Who does God say that I am? But then on top of that, because you serve a living God, I would pray, Lord, who do you say I am? Like, who am I? The best prayer that I ever prayed was, Lord, who am I? What am I? Who and what am I in your toolbox? When you think about what tool, what instrument I am that you created me to be, what is that? And if you have trouble hearing him, because I say hear, but it's not, it may be a feeling, it may be you see a word, it may be that you are drawn to a particular area. You guys will begin to develop your own language and your own way in which God speaks to you, because he meets you where you are. So part of what you also have to pray is, Lord, let me be sensitive to your patterns and how you talk to me, because he is a God of order, so there will be patterns, right? I know that if I get woken up at a particular time at night, let me just go ahead and pray. I don't know what you want to talk about, and I'm really tired, but we're gonna get this out, right? And it never fails. So like figuring out what his pattern is with you. And I highly recommend journaling, just because sometimes that is the easiest way to see it flow out and like what stands out to you from journaling. And you're gonna it's like feeling your way through the dark, and then at a certain point you get a feel of like, oh, this is how he communicates with me. So I would also say ask him directly. And part of how you're going to be able to discern, like, is this God or is this some random thought or is this something else, is being rooted in his actual word, like the physical word, being rooted in the Bible. You don't have to be perfect and have read from cover to cover, but what you want to do is get a sense of how he talks, right? There can be many, and people may not like this, there can be many contradictions in the Bible. I'm not about to sit here and tell you that it's a perfect book. I think we serve a perfect God, and you had imperfect people trying to capture a perfect God, right? But that's where the spirit of discernment and wisdom comes in, and that's where he's filling in the gaps. But when God is speaking, or when there is a true description of God, that is consistent, right? And so being able to pay attention to, what does he sound like? What are his patterns of communication? How did he appear to people in the word? Right. And so getting rooted in that, so that when you begin to hear him, it sounds consistent in a way that you've already seen before. So whenever the Lord has been correcting someone, and he's correcting his people, unless he has to be real firm, because you get like a whole bunch of lead ups. It's never, well, why would you do that? He doesn't say that. It may be, was that helpful to you, and how do you feel about that? The tone feels different. So I would definitely say get rooted in your word, right? And you're never going to be perfect. We're all figuring it out, right? But get rooted in your word, and then ask. And so you're asking this tangible document that he moves through, like, who do you say I am as being a part of your people, right? But then also specifically, because you are a unique invention, you are a unique creation, who do you say I am? So one of the prayers that I prayed was, again, Lord, who am I? What am I in your toolbox? Like, what tool am I? Right? What instrument am I? Another one I asked was, Lord, what plant am I in your garden? And part of the reason in asking these questions is it helps you understand who you are and why you function the way you do, right? So the answer to the first question that he gave me was disruptor, which explained a lot in my life. I was like, it's why Yeah, it explained a lot. Whether I liked it or not. So being in situations where it's like, I can't unsee what I see. And when I feel called and led to speak on it, yeah, it just explained a lot, right? And then another one, the answer to the second one was a plum tree. Um, and then me being the extra human I am, I was like, but am I mythical? He said yes. So a mythical plum tree. Um, and what I got from that, because when you look up what a plum tree means and what it symbolizes, it it really speaks to hope and resilience and perseverance, which explained a lot of what I had to go through. Um, it also doesn't bloom until its fourth, fifth, or maybe sixth year. Like you're not going to see the fruit of it. And so for those first 4 years, it's going to look and appear barren, which was consistent. Um, and it also has to go through a lot of pruning because when it does bloom, it can be so abundant that it weighs its arms down. Also, very consistent. And so, and then this idea of it being mythical, I think he just be humor and mean, but no, um, there is a legit divine and spiritual orchestration to all of those pieces, right? So I really, really encourage you to ask those questions, and you can phrase it differently. I like to think that we are all pieces of like walking gardens of Eden. And so we all play a role. And that's why I phrased the questions the way that I did. You can phrase them however you want, but the goal is to go to your creator, the one who knows you, to ask like who you are, right? And the firmer that you get in your identity, the more that your confidence will grow. Um, so there's that part. So it's like, who does God say that I am? Then when we're talking about nurturing and pouring into your own confidence, you have to begin to speak who he says you are, but your story of self has to get into alignment with what he says. So even if I have a moment where I feel like a victim, he's called me to be the head and not the tail. So I'm the head and not the tail, right? I know one thing I know about me is that if it hasn't ended well, then it's not done because God said that I'm the head and not the tail. And he's not a man that he should lie. So it has to come to pass that I'm going to be on top. Maybe not yet. Maybe this is a season I needed to hit the floor, right? But there's going to come a point where I'm going to be on top, right? So like it becomes, I am, I am believing. People say fake it till you make it. Believe it till you see it, right? I am believing his truth about me and I am speaking it as if it is the only thing that I know over myself. That doesn't mean that the other thoughts are not going to come. But what I'm going to choose to believe is what he says about me to the point where it is what I say about me. And so now you have God and your voice saying, this is who I am. This is who I am. And when we talk about being a reflection of him, right? That we are literally made in his image, whenever someone is asking who God is, I am that I am. So when you say that I am, you are invoking confidence, like Godfidence, right? Like you are invoking the creator God that is in you, right? You are invoking that authority. But what you put behind it matters. I am the Lord's. I am who he says I am. So if he says I am a disruptor, I'm a disruptor for the kingdom. He says that I'm a mythical plum tree. I'm a mythical plum tree in his garden. So anything that is trying to come up and say, you're not this, you're not that, hey, that's between you and whatever. That is not a thought. That intrusive thought, that is not yours. You get to reprimand it. You get to rebuke it and say, that's not true, and speak your truth in place of it, right? So it's, what does God say about me? Who does he say I am, right? And do I make sure that my voice is in alignment with what he says, right? And then the third piece is look for the evidence of who God says he is in your life. Like what has happened, not who he says he is, who he says you are, right? Who you say you are, and what evidence, what has happened, what has occurred that supports this stance. So he said that I'm resilient. One of the and so I can go back in my life and I can see, I did fail the bar the first time I took it. I'm a licensed attorney now. I still got back up. That when I can be heartbroken, go through multiple heartbreaks, whether it's romantically, whether it's trying something new, whatever. One thing about me is I'm gonna get back up. It's giving Cardi B. Get knocked down 9 times, but I'm gonna get up 10. How many times? I'm gonna pop up. I can't help it. Right? And so looking for those pieces of evidence, and that also helps cement that truth in your spirit, and being very clear about your mind literally being a battlefield. And there is no such thing as a Switzerland. Is Switzerland the one that's in the middle? Okay. A Switzerland thought, right? There's no neutral thought. This thing either supports you or it harms you. It's either your thought or it's a thought that's being projected on you, right? Because that's how the enemy works, projections. And so, dang, hopefully y'all can't hear that, but we'll find out. But it's a projection. You don't have to claim this thought as yours. And I think that what really attacks people, like really what, makes it difficult to be confident, is it's hard to get over how you feel. It's hard to get over the thoughts that you're hearing when they're saying you're not this, you're not that, you're not this, you feel sad. You don't see the fruit and the physical manifestation yet, right? And the reality of it is that until you decide to say F that, that's going to keep winning. You have to, when those thoughts come, arrest them, rebuke them, cast them out, and then speak what your God says about you, about who you are, and what is promised to you. That's it. And that has to happen over and over again. So when we're talking about the strategy of confidence, it's the discipline of arresting your thoughts and knowing what you are taking out. So taking out the thought that's a weed and what you are planting in its place. And you do that enough that it becomes natural. So it's not that the thoughts, the projections, the negativity, it's not gonna stop coming your way. And it tends to come in an even deeper full force when you are about to go to another level. When there's something on the other, there's a new door that's been opened up for you and there's something on the other side, right? So the attack is not going to cease. The attack is only probably going to increase. I don't want to lie to you. However, the attack won't feel as heavy because you've already built up this discipline of like, nah, that's not true. I've said this before and I mean it. Like when we like, I often be like, okay, F my feelings. Because I'm not saying that you shouldn't feel, but if this feeling, because sometimes these thoughts are planting feelings, if this feeling is not truly in alignment with who the Lord has said that I am, because sometimes it's hard for me to believe who I say I am, but I'm always going to believe who God says I am, because he has been consistently faithful. He has never let me down. I be letting me down sometimes. I ain't gonna lie to you, but he has never let me down. So even if it's hard for me to fully believe me, I believe God. And I think having this real understanding of like, yeah, I may feel this way, but I'm still, this is who God says I am. Thank you, Lord, that this is who you say I am. And so I rebuke and cast out this thought, this feeling, and this is who you say I am, covered in your blood, Lord, in Jesus' name. And just keep it moving. If you have to keep saying it, you have to keep repeating it, speaking it out and speaking it over yourself. That's what you do. So with that, I have 3 questions because I feel like this went way longer than I anticipated. But I have 3 questions that you should be asking yourself that can help strengthen your confidence. So who do I say I am even when I don't cognitively believe it? So how do I talk about myself, right? How do you talk about yourself? And if it's in a way that is not helpful to your confidence, we need to change the self-talk. If it is in a way, okay, cool. We need to strengthen that, right? 2, who does God say I am? And is my thinking in alignment with that? Why or why not? So who am I? Who do I say I am? But who does God say I am? Who God says you are supersedes everything. And getting that alignment so that you guys are speaking about yourself in the same way. The Lord becomes the gold standard. And then last but not least, what evidence do I have in my life to verify who God says I am? So what past things have occurred? What life experiences have occurred that demonstrate that this is literally who He created me to be and who I am? All right. If this is super helpful and you've made it this far in the video, I highly, highly encourage you to sign up for my newsletter and check out our merch. But in the newsletter, I give journal prompts. I link to the week's videos and just other reflective tools and things that can help you really, strengthen who you are, strengthen your confidence, and guide you to purpose, because we're very focused on the how of purpose and helping you discover the what of it. So have a beautiful day. Bye.